Well, ceasefire in South Sudan's capital, Juba, seems to be holding. At least 36,000 people have been displaced from their homes, taking refuge in churches as well as other sites protected by international peacekeepers. Hundreds have died after fighting broke out between troops loyal to rival leaders, President Salva Kiir and Vice President Riek Machar. Well, David Lamoria is in Juba and joins me now live. David, what's been the public reaction to the fighting in South Sudan?
Well, the civilians in the capital Juba have reacted by moving and trying to look for safety to safety within the capital. Most of them ran to the churches, to the United Nations compound, and they all try to seek shelter. We know there are many people in the shelter, and we talked to some of them, and they're still scared to go back home. They say they cannot go back home because the house were shot at them, the house were vandalized, and they're not ready to go back home unless there's a guarantee of security and safety from the government itself. However, the reaction from elsewhere in the country, we know for sure the neighboring countries say they're concerned about the refugee crisis that will be brought by the current fighting in South Sudan. Kenya and Uganda have already reacted to that and now asking for South Sudan to implement the ceasefire and bring peace to the country. And we know for sure that active evacuation have begun, and foreign diplomatic missions and non-governmental organizations are evacuating actively. They've been evacuating their non-essential staff.
Okay, David, so there's thousands of people who are scared, they're seeking shelter and obviously concerned for their personal safety. What's happening on the diplomatic front?
Well, the diplomatic front, when the airport was opened from yesterday, and the diplomatic missions have begun evacuating their staff. And besides that, they've also been calling, there's been call from the diplomatic missions here asking and urging the government of South Sudan to implement the peace agreement and to make sure that the ceasefire, the permanent ceasefire, holds. And the diplomatic mission, especially the regional powers, are really concerned. They've said they're concerned in a statement, and they say they will be able to intervene if the situation in the current situation escalates. And the U.S. mission here in the capital has already urged the two leaders to sign, to implement the peace agreement. However, at the moment, most foreign embassies, foreign diplomatic missions here have continued to evacuate their staff. At the same time, China and European Union, they're bringing aid into the country because there's huge humanitarian need now. And the government of South Sudan had already made an appeal to international community. And I think diplomatic missions here in the capital are core in talking to the foreign countries and the foreign organizations so that humanitarian aid can be brought. South Sudan needs aid. That's what the president has said. He sent a statement asking foreign organization, humanitarian organization, and diplomatic mission to.
All right, David Lamoria joining us from Juba. We thank you for that.